Hi, today we're going to make an expressive face in clay. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step one way to make an expressive face in clay. There's lots of ways to make an expressive face in clay, but the first thing you need to do is you need to prepare your clay. So if it's reclaimed clay, we're going to have to wedge it, and that gets all the pockets of air out. It compresses the clay, and it makes your clay stronger. You don't want to have any moisture trapped in those little air pockets because that could cause your clay to be weaker and maybe even to break. So we want to compress it as much as we can. And then you're going to shape it into a ball. Cut it into two parts because you're going to need two equal size balls of clay. And I'm actually going to be making them in two different shapes. One, I'm going to make into a sphere. That's going to be for the top of the head. So the first one I'm making into a sphere, patting it with my hand. And the second one, I'm going to start out making it into a sphere, but then I'm going to kind of make it a more oval shape because the chin and the bottom part of the head is a little bit more elongated. We want to make an upside down egg with two pinch pots. So go ahead and make a nice sphere. Smooth out the cracks if there's any cracks along the edge of the clay. And I'm just patting and forming it into a nice ball shape. To make a pinch pot, you put your finger in to make the hole, and then you leave your thumb in the inside of the hole, and pinch very gently all the way around. You don't want to pinch on one side and then on the other side. You want to turn it slowly and pinch evenly all the way around. This is going to be the top of the head. Now, I'm going a little fast. You can go a little slower if it's your first time making a pinch pot or the second time. Now, the bottom part of the head, I'm actually going to make more of an oval shape because I want it to be a little bit more pointy. So I'm going to go ahead and put my thumb in again. And then after I have my thumb inside, I'm going to pinch and widen that little pinch pot. I want to make it the same width of the opening as the last pinch pot that I made because we're actually going to be assembling these together. It can be pretty rough. It doesn't have to be a super smooth, refined pinch pot because we can refine it later. So I open that up. I want to pinch the walls about the thickness of a pencil, and then once they're the same width, you can place them together. And this is the part that sometimes is a little tricky. But remember, once the air is trapped inside like a balloon, the air is going to hold it. So now you're going to stitch it together. Use your thumb, hold it in one hand, and stitch the two pinch pots together. The goal is to create an air pocket or a balloon. You can stitch it by going up and down, alternating, and that sometimes creates a stronger bond, or you can just smooth it one way. Once the air is trapped inside, you can pat it and form it into the shape that you want and get rid of all of the imperfections on the outside. The air on the inside is trapped, so it pretty much holds up the clay and keeps it from collapsing too much. But you might need to use a modeling clay. If you found some places, or you might need to use a modeling tool to smooth out the clay a little bit. If you find any places that seem to be more thin or need to be reinforced, you can take some wet clay and add it onto that seam. So sometimes right in the middle where you stitched it together, it might be too thin. So add some clay there. And I'm using a modeling tool because my finger was kind of making the ball of clay collapse. The clay is really soft and pliable at this stage. This is the wet or pliable stage of clay, when the clay is most malleable. So you keep on working on it until you've got all of the bumps and lumps and unwanted cracks smoothed out. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's best to use your finger and not a sponge or water, because you don't want the clay to get too soft, and that would make the clay more weak. So I would just use your finger, pat it, shape it, use your thumb or a modeling tool to smooth out all of those imperfections. After you have a nice egg shape, it should be larger at the top of the head and a little more pointy at the bottom. Then you can take your thumbs and press in the eye sockets. This is going to give you a good foundation for adding your eyes and all your other features. Don't forget, your eye sockets should be halfway from the chin to the top of the head. Use the general proportions that we learned earlier when you're thinking about where to place the different features on the head.